Well, it is no secret that the state of California and several Bay Area cities have been at odds with the Trump administration, including several pending lawsuits working their way through the courts right now. Joining us live with his take on where things stand, California's Attorney General Rob Bonta. Thanks for being with us today.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
How many lawsuits are we talking to date?
We're at 16 lawsuits in 14 weeks, 16 lawsuits in the first 100 days. And we only bring lawsuits when the Trump administration breaks the law or violates the Constitution. So that's how many times he's done it in 14 weeks.
Let's talk about some of the issues, starting with tariffs affecting, of course, the entire country, the entire world right now. What is California's stake in this?
California, perhaps of any state, has the greatest stake in this. We're the fourth largest economy in the world. We have 39 million people. We're the largest state in the nation. We're the largest importer of any states, the second largest exporter, the largest exporter of ag, the biggest manufacturer. Our outsized economy means these tariffs have an outsized impact on our state. And as the government itself, the state of California, it's increasing our prices for the products that we buy affected by the tariffs. It's making our vendor contracts more expensive because they're passing on costs to us. We're getting less tax revenue, and we're spending more with our social services, like on things like unemployment insurance. And the people of our state and across America, they're seeing their costs go up after they screamed at the polls that they want their costs to go down. And inflation is going up as well. So Trump has managed in just 100 days to turn the American and global economy on its head and into a tailspin. We had the two worst days in the history of the U.S. stock market, worst losses. And so this is someone who promised to make economic progress, and he's creating economic chaos instead.
And you touched on this a little bit when it comes to unemployment. When it comes to DOGE, we have the loss of federal workers. You've expressed concern about the loss of jobs and the programs as well. What do those cuts mean for California's budget?
Well, we've been able to protect California through our lawsuits in just one case to the tune of $168 billion that were going to be withheld from California wrongfully. This was the Office of Management and Budget memo that sought to cut $3 trillion across the country. It was $168 billion for California specifically. So we've been able to preserve that funding. If this funding was cut, as Trump had sought to do and tried to do, it meant cutting things like healthcare and housing and food and college and childcare and public safety grants and disaster relief, critical services across the board, NIH funding, the Department of Education, Health and Human Services, AmeriCorps. The list goes on and on. They are just slashing and burning core, critical services of the federal government, not fat, not waste, not fraud. That's their talking point. That's their selling point, but it's not what they're doing. We have to look at what their actions actually are, and these are actions that harm California. So we are suing them in court to protect California and ensure that this critical funding continues to flow to our great state.
Now, we have seen the administration just simply flouting court rulings, ignoring them. So what would be the recourse there? What's the next step?
Well, broadly, in the cases that we have brought, the 16 cases, the Trump administration, not always, but for the most part, has followed the court orders. And we're certainly aware of this inching away, maybe not even inching, maybe some big steps away from following court orders in some other cases. The Abrego Garcia case comes to mind, the individual who had an order preventing him from being deported, who was deported. The White House said it was a quote unquote administrative error and has thus far failed to bring him back. That's very problematic. That's a red flag. That's a concern. There are steps that can be taken if the Trump administration doesn't follow a court order. One is for the party who secured an order that's not being followed to move to enforce that order. We've done that in our cases, and we've gotten additional orders that have been followed. Contempt is another step. No one's been held in contempt yet, and perhaps someone should if the facts justify it and the law, when applied, indicates that that's possible. But that's a step along the way to enforcing court orders before we get to what a lot of people have talked about as a constitutional crisis. So we'll see if some contempt proceedings starts here
All
soon.
right, one more question before we go. There's a lot of people that are going to say California is just trying to be adversarial. Is there any risk of not cooperating with the federal government or making enemies?
Look, we're happy to cooperate with the federal government on issues of common concern. Maybe it's cybersecurity, maybe public safety. My office is hard at work cracking down on fentanyl and human trafficking and illegal gun trafficking and hate crimes, organized retail crime. Let's work together on that. But we will never find it acceptable for the presidential administration to break the law. They can move their agenda. They won the election. Move forward your agenda lawfully, and we won't sue you in court because we can't and we ought not. If all we have is political grievance or ideological or policy difference, you will never see us taking you to court. But if you break the law, if you violate the Constitution, we will see you in court every single time. So the way to stop the lawsuits from California is to stop breaking the law. It's that simple. You break the law, we sue you in court. You don't break the law, we don't go to court.
California Attorney General Rob Bonta, thanks for your time this afternoon.